As President Biden rubs shoulders and fundraises with the Hollywood elite, former Soprano star Drea De Matteo is actually calling out A-listers, saying that Hollywood elites are actually, quote, petrified to speak out against Joe Biden's leftist agenda. Watch.
This administration has just been hammering all of these things, and people in Hollywood are petrified. What are you going to speak out against race and sex and all of that stuff? People are afraid to have those conversations because, first of all, you never win with a liberal. Yeah. You're just never going to win.
Joe Concha is a Fox News contributor, and Joe joins me now. Joe, I'm going to take this a step further. Is Hollywood, yes, Hollywood, actually more red than we thought?
I think it is, but obviously we're not going to hear very much about that. And Adriana, by the way, Todd, was one of my favorite characters on The Sopranos. Shame how it ended for her in that final season. But the real-life version of Drea De Matteo, she is exactly correct. I mean, I am certain that many celebrities don't like what they're seeing as far as the wokeness, as far as inflation hitting their wallets, as far as crime, illegal immigration in places like California or New York. And they know if they speak out, Todd, in any way, shape, or form, they will be ostracized. They will not work again. You look at a Cal Berkeley poll that came out recently. It shows that among Californians, more disapprove of Joe Biden than those who approve. Yeah. The same goes for New York by 10 points. These are the deepest blue states in the country, right? And perhaps that's why we're seeing polls like the one we saw over the CNN over the weekend that you talked about earlier, where Donald Trump is beating Joe Biden by 9 points nationally.
It's quite
this is something that penetrates all areas of our culture at this point, Todd.
And I would just make a point. If Drea could sit down with her former co-star, who's her husband on the show Sopranos, maybe she could have a conversation with him because he has seemed to have gone very, very extra far left. Speaking of celebs, speaking of TV, media, all that good stuff, a lot of people gathered there in D.C. for the White House Correspondents Association dinner. President Biden making some jokes about his age. Listen.
It's been a year since I delivered this speech, and my wife Jill, who's with me tonight, was worried how I do. I told her, don't worry, just like riding a bike. She said, that's what I'm worried about. Of course, the New York Times issued a statement blasting me for, quote, active and effectively avoiding independent journalists. Hey, if that's what it takes to get the New York Times to say I'm active and effective, I'm for it.
Joe, you watch this whole thing. What's your grade for the president?
I love how you see everybody laughing and clapping in the audience, all those journalists and some celebrities when he mocks the New York Times. Joe Biden has not done one interview with the New York Times editorial board or the Wall Street Journal editorial board or the Washington Post editorial board in his presidency. No modern president has avoided all three of those major publications, and yet he's up there laughing, and they're laughing along with him. I found that quite disturbing. Look, Joe Biden is fine. If you put him in, you give him scripted remarks and a teleprompter and something before he goes up on stage, he is more than fine as far as his delivery. The question is, Todd, if we go to debates and there is no more teleprompter and he actually gets serious questions about the serious issues in this country, then how's he going to perform? And that's why I think he made some news with Howard Stern on Friday where he said, I'll debate. And I think his handlers probably were like, wait, whoa, what? What did you say? Because I'm not sure they want to put him up on that stage at this point.
If there is a debate, it will be a bloodbath. Joe Biden will be at the bad end of that. And speaking of the word bloodbath, Joe referenced that again out of context against Trump. It was one of those moments that everybody in the audience knew that Joe was wrong, but they had to clap anyway, to your point, because they all have to suck up to the president. The host of the night was SNL comedian Colin Jost. Of course, he had plenty of Trump jokes as well. Listen.
Before I begin tonight, can we just acknowledge how refreshing it is to see a president of the United States at an event that doesn't begin with a bailiff saying, all rise. A Republican candidate for president owes $500 million in fines for bank fraud and is currently spending his days farting himself awake during a porn star hush money trial, and the race is tied? The race is tied.
Concha.
Nothing makes sense anymore.
All right, Concha, how do you think Jost did?
Well, the race isn't tied, and I don't know. If I'm doing the White House Correspondents Dinner and I'm on national television, I'm certain I don't have to look down almost the entire time like I'm Karine Jean-Pierre. So he was okay. I feel like, every MC at the White House Correspondents Dinner are basically the same. They're activist Democrats who will do some benign jokes about Joe Biden, but save the real haymakers for Donald Trump or even this network. Overall, he was okay, but it's exactly what you expect at this point. Put Jimmy Fallon up there, Greg Gutfeld. Let's see some real comedians really hit both sides. What do you think?
My take, being in the audience, I will say I thought he did a pretty fair and balanced job on the jokes. And I thought he really went after Biden hard on a lot of the jokes, and they actually got some applause in the room. What I disagreed with is when he called, and this was a poignant moment because he was talking about his dead grandfather, and I understand we love our grandparents, but when he called Joe Biden decent. Look at Joe Biden's record. You make the decision at home whether you think Joe Biden has been a decent man these last couple years, and I disagreed with that. So gonna have to leave it there. Joe Concha's decent.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.